Welcome to Fouts Boxing Theory, home of the greatest striking coach on the planet, the one who taught the world what film study really is, yada, yada, yada. If you want to learn punching power, check out my programs. We're going to talk a little bit about that kind of stuff as we go through here and take a look at a film study on Conor McGregor versus this gentleman here, Alvarez, and then we're going to be looking at some of Conor McGregor's training, the pre-fight stuff for this fight, and then the pre-fight stuff for the Aldo fight as well. There's some really, I only watched a little bit of it, and I was like, yeah, it's kind of cool. So we're going to watch it. Is he pretending to touch the hands right here? He's just controlling space, right? Now, one of the things that I want to point out real quick right away, and Conor McGregor only got away with it, at the lower levels. No offense, Eddie Alvarez, but he acts like that leg kick didn't matter, right? He's like shaking his head, no, trying to stay out of range of it. The lead hand control is there, following up off of it, but ready to fight off the lead hand control, right? As soon as he touches his hand, McGregor is looking to be ready as well to attack, but to defend from another attack as well. But here we see the leg kick coming out, control, and then he's ready, right? You saw his weight pull to the back foot, touching the lead hand now, and he's going to go in on his own move. But the leg kicks, Conor McGregor always pretends like they don't matter. They pretend like they're like inconsequential. He's not bothered. He doesn't really tell his opponent that it sucked, that it hurt, right? Which is what you're supposed to do. That worked all the way up until what was it, Dustin Poirier that kicked his leg out from underneath him? But it was really interesting because as long as you just pretend like it doesn't matter, see how he just immediately brings his leg back to the line? He's like, nah, starts talking shit. You can see that's like if this was the video game, every time you punch Conor McGregor in the face, he's gonna talk like shit talk you, like that kind of thing. But that's what it is, right? Instead of like touching his nose, instead of like people who like touch their eyebrow or whatever, they'll like blow their nose or whatever they do. When they do it, they have a tell that you got to him a little bit. Conor McGregor has to talk shit to you. He has to shake his head. It's funny. It's smart, kind of bringing your opponent into it, right? Making them somehow interact with you or think about what you're doing that's not what they're thinking about kicking your ass. But anyway, it didn't work forever. Dustin Poirier kicked his leg out like a whole bunch, right? And that idea is also exacerbated if we take a look at the idea of the structure of him, right? When he's getting to the line, his lead hand is very extended. I don't want to call him a straight up weight bully fighting like little guys. Like, Aldo is shorter than him, right? He's, being taller. It's a little bit of the, I guess we'll show that too real quick. We'll interject real quick. I think this is it here. Oh, this right here, eggs on the feet for this video here. Oh man, so these guys can't put their heels down. This is honestly one of the stupidest things I've ever seen, I've ever heard of. Just wanted to point that out. But there's this video here of John Jones teaching some people some stuff about grabbing the hands, and I want to say like, yeah, that kind of works, but it's also like a little bit of weight bully stuff, right? You have to be bigger than somebody that to maintain a good range or to be feeling confident, right? Or have some kind of advantage over them already, right? You're not generally going to be doing something like this at the beginning of a fight, and this is something that someone like John Jones is going to get away with because he's bigger than everyone he fights, right? That's why him fighting Tom Aspinall is like such a big deal. That's why it's first time he's not going to be a weight bully since he arguably lost to Dominic Reyes, right? But anyway, more importantly, maintaining that kind of control there also helps him not get kicked in the leg as much because he's going to control that space, and that's going to be his first marker, right? But he started fighting with the much more boxing style hands in, not always keeping that control, and it stops him from being able to interact on the right timings, right? Not that he has the greatest reaction speed anyway. But some of the things that he does in his pad work we're going to see here is some of these like little pull counters that he does off of this lead hand control, because it's really, really cool. We'll go over there. We'll take a look real quick, but we're going to watch the whole thing. But see how he's even fighting from the lead hand control? Boom, boom, right? He's working from these positions. He's not doing, oh, is it going to work? He's not fighting from like a boxing striking position, right? You know how you get on the line with your coach and then he's like 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, and it's like whatever bullshit they're doing. He's actually fighting and competing in these positions out of this style that he's fighting. He'll do a little. We'll go back, but we're gonna watch the whole thing. I don't want to spoil it, but we're just gonna get back to the film study and kind of keep talking about it. Um, a little bit right there, beautiful, kind of. He's got the lead hand control. He's out there controlling, getting here. Barely pull counter. Okay, I missed it the first time. I thought he got whacked actually, but really, really good shot right there, controlling the space. He's in this position that he's ready to pull out of, pull, and then right back on the line. Um, yeah, and again, we fight how we train. We fight how we train. He's going to be doing those moves on the mitts. We're going to be taking a look. You know what? I think that's actually good enough. We don't have to watch the whole fight. That's basically the whole fight right there. They're going to do that a whole bunch of times. And then he kind of gets him the same way at the end to knock him out. Here we go. Has he got Reeboks on? I was always a big fan of Reeboks myself. They were a little bit wider of a shoe, so. All right. Oh, and if you see him jumping and hopping around here like this, kind of skipping here, this is part of his warm up, right? He's not just having fun, joshing, right? The movement like that he's doing there, it's very common to be doing that as your warm up. Like people do like side straddle hops, right? Very common. But I think, and I have my own warm up drill. I have my own shadow boxing version of this kind of movement to warm you up and get yourself going. There's more to it than that, but my version actually teaches you how to incorporate that into fighting, so you can have a rhythm and a pace, and you can learn about positions and striking. Again, one of the things that if anybody who's joining my Discord, again, I have a private coaching Discord. Anybody who's joining who wants to learn, you're going to be bridging the gap between yourself, right? Maybe an inexperienced fighter with somebody, possibly if you get good, somebody who has, one of my amateurs fought some guy who has over 100 amateur fights, in like his 9th or 10th amateur fight. And you're at some point, you have to bridge the gap between your talent level and your skill and your experience and theirs. Right? And some people have been doing this for their whole lives since they were 7 years old, since their dad convinced their mom that it was a good idea to take their kid to the gym and get punched in the face. And my system can do that. My system can teach you how to bridge the gap by teaching you these shadowboxing patterns and these ways to build speed and power and athleticism and safely, progressively. But yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what he's got going on. Also, again, like I said earlier, I'm the first coach in history to figure out how punching power works. Rules for punching power, like you have to cross the line and transition your weight. Those are skills that I taught the world. You can go back and look at it. Nobody was teaching the things that I was teaching about crossing the line, punching power, transitioning your weight, position 1 and position 2, right? People call it front foot position and back foot position, but these were my ideas. Teaching boxing in a positional manner is my theory, right? And, so much of everything that's come out of the last 7 years of combat sports theory, film study, has come derived from my channel. Now, again, here he is coming out here, pull counters, the exact one that he got Mr. Alvarez with a second ago. But again, look at him fighting off of this pattern. It does look exactly. We saw him do that move to Alvarez as well. Didn't see that one. Playing lead hand control here again. Now, I don't see a very great defense here, right? I don't think that he's particularly doing that on purpose. Because he does eat a lot of leg kicks, I think. I think that he doesn't really have a great defense for that. But again, this is the exact move. Boom, boom. Right? He's in this position. Pop, pop, pop. And again, he was really good off of those pull counters, throwing the 3-punch combinations as well. We did see him do a little roll at one point. I think he rolls under a shot. Maybe that was in the second round. We didn't watch that. But he does do a pretty nice roll around under a shot when he's peeling off the line. Actually, let's see. I think is it right here? Ooh, not the greatest defense there. There you go. Rolls under the line and gets him. Beautiful. And again, playing the same game, lead hand control. Boom, boom, boom. Now, obviously, not everything that he's doing is great. Like as we see here, where's the defense, right? His coach just showed him, boom, gotcha. Woo, gotcha. Right? And we did just see him get punched in the face. Again, doesn't know where he's supposed to move his head, doesn't know how to block punches correctly. I don't want to say, oh, and he's not even thinking about defense. You know, he's so focused on his offense, which might just be true in both scenarios, right? There's a there's a scene in Errol Spence training camp where Derek James smacks him with the mitt as it's a hook, and it winds up being like almost exactly what happens in the fight, but it just shows that Errol Spence was just not prepared to be blocking punches. Is this going to be all mitts? Let's see. Because I think the other video might be just more interesting than just watching these same few mitt patterns over and over again. A little bit of wrestling. But yeah, we can see that he was practicing those kind of pull counters and stuff. So this is as far as I've seen into the video, but we're gonna go back here. And this is the camp that he fought Aldo for. Warming up a little bit, walking around, saying hi. We saw him skipping a little bit. Again, it's just a very natural movement that people kind of move through when they're like moving through their warm-ups. They'll just start skipping. That's the move that he knocks him out with, right? Where he jumps off the line. Boom, 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 off the line, and then hits him with a shot. Which I still contend with being Aldo's fault, not McGregor's success, right? Obviously, he practiced the move. He knew what he was going to do when the shot was coming, but that shot was actually a feint from Aldo. Aldo just didn't know how to move his head and cross the line when he punched. He didn't know what he was supposed to be doing. So he gets on the line with the feint because he still whacks McGregor and gives McGregor kind of a knot on his head. Now, I thought this was really interesting, a little bit more of a mobility drill here. Again, I know that, you know, it might not be super fun to do kind of like more goofy stuff. You know, I was coaching an MMA guy for a while, and you know, I would ask him to do stuff, you know, like, hey, okay, this is the drill we're going to be doing. This is the warm up that we're doing. And again, I have an entire stretching routine. I have an entire warm up routine that are all private, all my own stuff that I teach, not in the Fouts Boxing Academy. It's my private stuff I teach in person. My own strength and conditioning stuff. Obviously, it doesn't work because I'm still fat, right? No, but it's very difficult. You know, it was very difficult to get him to want to do that stuff in public in front of people. You know, he hated that people would look at us and be staring at us when we might be doing something unconventional or goofy. You know, but I want to point out, like this right here, right, kicking his heel forward. I do this as a jump rope exercise, right, and he's kind of bouncing and jumping rope. Like this is a jumping rope variant, right, which is an excellent warm up. Is an excellent, right, and again, it's very similar to skipping. A little bit of mobility here. I think the coach here is he doing it on the balls of his foot? Ta ta ta. He's doing it on his toes, and McGregor's doing it on his heels. So McGregor's looks worse, but it's better. I think his is better, even though he looks less fluid. Going forwards, going backwards. Again, pretty good mobility routine here. Do the twist, right? But yeah, I thought this was all like pretty interesting stuff. Couple of like little footwork patterns with the feet behind himself. But yeah, he hated doing that stuff, in front of people. He thought it was goofy, until it came time to be punching the bag, and then everyone's watching him punch the bag really hard, and then it's cool. But it always struck me as odd. You want to learn how to do something no one else can teach. You want to learn to do something no one else is doing. You're gonna have to do things that no one else is doing. You know. But very interesting here. This little rhythm here, boom, 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 boom. And they had this little touch pattern, right, going where they're jumping off the line and engaging with each other. Very, very interesting stuff here. Touching the lead hands. Okay, they're a little sparring game they're playing. Bop, bop. Looks like he's touching the lead hand and then finding second contact. Then I don't actually know who this guy is. Um, but is this the guy that he got accused of playing touch butt in the park with? The fluidity and the mobility stuff. It's fascinating because it's that kind of stuff is so important. It's so important, and people just don't. They've completely underestimated it because so many people think being tough and getting punched in the face is like one of the requisites to being a good fighter. That this kind of stuff just completely gets missed. Like Nate Diaz, like, oh, you're wasting your time, not trying to be tough, not sparring, like James Toney bullshit. And it's like there are plenty of guys who, and again, very similar, right, to jumping off the line and throwing the shot that he does. Pretty cool. Rear hand control with the lead hand into a spinning back kick. Nice and coiled on his approach. Rear hand probe into a boom, into a roll, into a counter counter. Doesn't really work like that. The roll's usually too slow. Maybe not in MMA as much, simply because if you roll behind them, you can still just kick them. Very bouncy. Man, I was hoping there's going to be more mobility stuff. Dang. Boom. Control, two. Control, spinning back kick. That would have been pretty cool to see him spinning back kicking on Aldo. Yeah, how sucky is it that that was all we ever got of Aldo McGregor, right? Um, yeah, I wonder if he just never wanted to have a rematch. Did Aldo ask for one? Does anybody know? I don't even know if he did. Kinda moving around, boom boom, right? Is that the move, guys? That might be the move, right? Yeah, practicing his slide off the line there. Boom boom slide, bop bop. Boom boom, boom. Interesting. What the hell? Is this supposed to be an elbow? Elbow, right? Boom, elbow. Uppercutting elbow? Little same side here. Boom. Nope. Didn't throw a rear hand at all. Control kick. I wonder what because he's throwing quite a few spinning back kicks. Boom, 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 boom. So if his opponent is moving away from his punches, right, and it winds up being control, 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 and then control. He'd have to be moving a little bit too, but you could cut the ring off to find the spinning back kick, like John Jones did against the last guy he fought. I can't remember his name. A little 2-3. Boom, boom, boom. 3. And then turning it into the kick. So finally using the beat before. Not quite throwing them as feints, right? But you can see that there are feints along the way with each of those hands. Just like that, right? Bat, 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 bat. But pretty good routine. Some pretty cool stuff in there. Um, Obviously neglecting a lot of the defensive stuff. You know, how many times has he thrown kicks at McGregor to make McGregor block him? And like, especially preparing for Aldo, right? Like the leg kick master or the leg kick champion. Boom. It's pretty fast. Boom. Ha ha ha. Is that what he's saying? I can't really hear it. Pretty quick hands though. A little bit of goofy movement there. Pull counter there. There it is. Did he not see that one coming? Yeah, not the most offensively sound circling, I'll say, but also they're not in boxing range. He's probably thinking they're at kickboxing range, so you don't have to have, I don't want to say, you don't have to have your hands up in kickboxing. You know, not really. You still got to be able to, defend yourself, but, you're so much farther away. Your opponent you have so much more time to get a guard to impact whatever it is your opponent's bringing to the line to choose. Has he ever done this to anybody in a fight? Does anybody know? Boom, 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 boom. Because it's pretty sick. Yeah, 1-2 step back. Boom, boom, pop, boom, boom. Very, very similar to the KO. A good base for training it. That's pretty damn cool. Pretty brave of him to let him throw wheel kicks at him like that, right? So, I don't know if he's still working with this guy, but this guy seems not that bad. Okay, making him fucking block some shit. Pretty cool drill. Pretty cool. I think this is probably one of the most creative drills that I've seen on the pads because it's not all perfunctory, right? Right? There's some perfunctory parts about it, right? They've got a rhythm and a pace they're keeping with each other, and then he just breaks it, right? Makes them react to it. It's pretty cool, right? It's not like calling out a 1-2. Pretty cool. Yeah, this guy's not so bad. Maybe he is calling it. I'm not sure because I'm not hearing. I don't hear anything. Very similar drill I've seen Manny Pacquiao do on the mitts with Freddie Roach, but they don't do any blocking. They don't do any variation. It's just this, right? So adding stuff onto that as a variation, as like an improvement to that drill, it's pretty cool. Big fan. Really, really, really interesting. I have my own pad work stuff and my pad work drills and stuff that I teach, and all the pad work drills that I teach them on the heavy bag. Okay, so if you want to learn how to do all that stuff, I have like over 100 drills to practice in the Fouts Boxing Academy. And then again, once you start putting them all together and you figuring out the drills, how they work, and what you're doing, you'll realize that all the drills are just so much deeper than what you're doing. It's so much more valuable than what you think. Um, and Yeah, it's really cool. It's really really cool. But it's a lot of hard work. Okay, one of the reviews on the thing was I encourage um, some kind of like making fun of people culture, whatever, the toxic masculinity, whatever, and it's like not really, But here's the thing: is I'm training people who want to be the best ever. They want to learn and they want to grow and they want to. Okay, and if that's the kind of knowledge that you want, if you want a coach who's not just going to bullshit you and tell you, wow, good job, Sonny, keep paying me, right? And just holding on to it, whatever, right? For nothing, okay? Or you want someone who's going to make sure you're getting good. You're going to get your money's worth. Okay, I grew up fucking poor. My coach, because I was a fucking animal and I worked my fucking ass off, he trained me for free. He bought all my gear. He took me to tournaments. He paid for my amateur fights. He paid for my gear. He trained all my friends. I know that it's hard to box. I know that it's expensive. I know. Okay? And I'm going to make sure that if you have hopes and dreams about doing anything, the only thing standing in the way of you doing it is you. Okay? But but yeah, I'm gonna ride you hard. I'm gonna tell you you're not working hard enough. I'm gonna tell you because you're not gonna get to make it look like it's my fault you're not Ryan Garcia in 1 year. Okay? If you work hard, I will make you a great striker. Okay? I will make you a great fighter. But you gotta work hard. You gotta send in your drills. You can't be like these guys who are like, I'm the greatest ever, I'm blah blah blah, and then they don't send in any fucking video ever. Right? They're not doing the thing. They don't know. Okay, cool. We're gonna get to see some goofy shit. Hell yeah. Okay, all right. This is some um, Fabia level stuff here. I can't remember what that guy's name. Oh shit. Uh, it's not that bad actually. It's interesting because it's more importantly as a movement exercise. It's going to put him in a lot of interesting and unique positions. But a little bit of this kind of looked like I'll say like shitty capoeira, right? You know, if he was doing some capoeira, that might just straight up be better. That's another thing, by the way, that I was doing with my MMA guy because I was having a lot of difficulty teaching him how important it was to transfer your weight in these very specific ways, and you kind of do a little bit of in capoeira. So I paid for a bunch of capoeira classes for him, and then he started to understand how important the fluidity and the movement was. But again, I have my own capoeira drill for boxing. Um, but if you're an MMA guy, you and you're not doing capoeira, man, you're I don't want to say you're an idiot, but you just have no fucking idea what you're missing out on. You know, also, it's super fun. Um, if you're an MMA guy and you're in Albuquerque, there's a guy, it's one of the main streets. Okay, bear crawl like thing here. Is he trying to show him how to do new shit? And then he's probably just showing off for the cameras and stuff, right? Anyway, it's kind of cool. But there's a capoeira guy on I can't remember what the street is. Um, man. Anyway, it's at a dance studio, and the guy is like, um, he's an animal. He has no idea like how strong and fit he is. I don't even know how if he thinks he's like a great, a capoeira guy. But the classes were easy. Um, you understood what you were supposed to be doing, and it was a way to get. It felt like very competent to get better. Highly recommend if you want to check out his classes, like $15 or something to go per person. Mm. And it'll teach you how to do a bunch of shit that you can just go do by yourself. You know, you go to one class or two classes, and then you like learn how you do a little bit of the stuff, and then you can just practice. Again, very very interesting stuff. Um, but I want to say it's not really enough to do this kind of stuff, just this kind of warm up stuff. Okay, so they're trying to get their heart rate going a little bit, try to make it, yeah, and it's looking like you can kind of do that kind of quickly. Okay, a little fake breakdancing kind of stuff. Interesting. Getting some good stretches. Kind of interesting stuff. A little bit of touch butt playing there for sure. Um, if you're gonna do stuff like this, might as well just do some cartwheels, right? Go fast, see how many you can do. You know, um, but pretty fascinating stuff. I wonder how much of this stuff McGregor still does. I know he does a lot more striking nowadays, and like, it's okay. His striking's not that good. Um, I know he's like a striker or whatever, but um, he's missing a lot. He's missing a lot in his striking for sure. Um, I think Dustin Poirier might just be stronger than him, so his striking looks better. He winds up being more explosive, and I think that's probably the thing that Conor McGregor is just missing. It's just actual explosiveness, right? And that makes a lot of sense. When we look at all these routines and stuff, there's not very much explosiveness in any of these movements that he's practicing. When he's on the mitts, he kind of goes fast, right? But he wasn't explosively doing anything. Um, Even his movements when he was moving around with the coach and the coach was like doing like moving with him, he was still trying to be agile and fluid, right? There wasn't a lot of sharp, snappy defense stuff, right? Or like sharp movements around the line. It's a lot of that, like that whole Conor McGregor kick him real hard in his leg, and he goes, I didn't even notice. That's nothing. I'm gonna keep my leg exactly where it is, right? um, that like nonchalant, chilling vibe, right? And then you're just kicking him real hard in the leg or punching him in the head, and like the Poirier again, a good example of him like feeling slower, because he's going through this, But anyway, um, my system has a way to fix that. Okay, um, so check it out. Blah 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 blah. And also, if you need scholarships and stuff, we're doing a lot of. Oh, we'll be watching. Um, we'll be watching uh, the fights this weekend on Discord and on Patreon. Patreon is a 7-day free trial. We watch a lot of boxing stuff as well. If you're here from boxing or whatever, we're going to be watching tonight's boxing stuff. Ennis and Stanionis. And Stanionis, he really could wind up stealing a couple rounds from Jaron Ennis. If he drops Ennis twice, I think he has to do it twice to win the fight. But if he drops Ennis twice, um, or gets 2 10-8 rounds somehow, he could win the fight. He could steal it, right, on a close decision. Could. Um, but I'm not predicting that. Mm. But yeah, if you're looking for coaching, I also do kickboxing coaching. Again, I coached a guy, cornered him a few times for a few professional MMA fights. I was his striking coach. Um, I teach kickboxing for MMA. I teach striking, both punching and kicking. I can teach you how to improve your punching power so that you're one of the best punchers on the planet if you work hard. And a great kicker. I don't know the depths to what kicking, but I kick pretty hard. I kick pretty high. And I can show you how to improve your kicking with, just a few drills, right? A few techniques. Okay. A few techniques. Um, but if you guys need a scholarship, okay, the Discord is $160 a year, $100 for 6 months. It's a great deal. Check it out. I don't want people to just join for a couple weeks and be like, blah blah blah. Join, give it a shot. Guaranteed, I will improve your boxing. You'll learn a fuck ton. There's also all the film studies that are on Patreon are also in the Discord. But if you need a scholarship, tell me where you're from. Okay, join the Patreon. It has a 7-day free trial. Send me a message on Patreon. Tell me about yourself. Tell me, how much your country makes, right? How much a lot of money in US is, and I can give you a discount, right? Coaching people is more important than getting people in contact. Again, there are Fouts boxers all across the world, in every country. And you can meet and connect and message with people in all countries, but meet with people who are in your country that want to learn this style. If you guys meet up, I can teach you other things. I can teach you how to spar. I can teach you how to fight together with my own drills. Blah 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 blah. So yeah, join 7-day free trial. Send me a message. Yeah.